Yo, what's going on, everyone? Hey, I'm Marcus. You're the channel, The Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances, talking about financial topics and takes, letting y'all know what's going on with the households, with my family's financial freedom journey, and just covering things that are financially funny and all that other stuff. Disclaimers, we always got to get those out the way. I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm definitely not your attorney. So this isn't legal advice. This isn't financial advice. This isn't any of that. This is just me giving my opinion and takes on topics and letting y'all know what's going on in the household of the debt-free dad. It's something that's really interesting. I gotta one, and like I be watching y'all lives, the other creators' lives. Like, how do y'all get lives and talk for over an hour with like without drinking a swallow of water? Like, I go crazy. I'd be on his own. There'd be white paste coming out in the camera. That's one. But two, my son actually went to a concert today. He went out to his concert, just like his first concert they're going to. And of course, before he go to the concert, what do any good parent do? Before you go to a concert, do A, B, and C. Now, I'm a little bit different than most parents. Before we even get in the topic, I got to talk about this. I'm a little bit different than most parents. I'm not going to check to see if you did A, B, or C before you went. I don't find that fun. I don't find that the best teachable moment. I feel like the best moment is to let you go. Then while you're out having fun, I check to see if you did A, B, and C. And if you didn't, then on the back end, I'm gonna make you pay for it. So this is gonna be interesting. He gonna have the time of his life. He gonna have the time of his life at this concert. And the minute he comes back, and he comes back from his concert and he's excited, he's not gonna be able to call his friend because he's gonna be on punishment. I think that's a much better way than doing it. So I can't wait for him to get back from his concert. Like, literally, I told him to do like 2 or 3 things before he went to his concert. After he left, I go to check and he did like half of them. I was like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't check beforehand because all I would have did was just got me frustrated. I was like, nah, it's gonna be funnier when he goes to the concert. Then the minute he goes home, he finds out he's punished for the next week. So as you become a parent and you mature, you tend to find stupid stuff that your kids do funny more so than annoying or angry. So this is going to be hilarious. I can't wait. I'm sitting here thinking of ways I'm gonna present it. I'm sitting here thinking of ways I'm gonna present it to him once I'm back from his concert. But in today's video, we are going to talk about just some funny finance questions that are searched on YouTube. The most searched, craziest financial questions on YouTube. And we're going to also look at some bad financial advice that we're given. We got a list of about 17, but I'm not going through all. I'm just going to go through the most unique and interesting ones. Now, how I came up with this topic or even found these questions, I didn't even know this was a thing. As I'm just kind of doing my research, looking for topics, financial things, I just happened to randomly come across the list of the 10 dumbest questions related to finance searched on YouTube. And once I look at those questions, it gave me a few things. One, people's search history is crazy as hell. Like, I expect your search history to have like, stuff, entertainment stuff, news, sports, pornography. That's all like normal stuff. But some of these damn questions, I was like, why would you even ask this question? Who is searching this question and why? Some of these questions are just ridiculous and they give me cause to pause as it relates to the people who actually looking at these damn questions. Didn't make no damn sense whatsoever. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to dive in. It's going to be a little bit humorous. So I think the best way to do this is we're going to talk about the questions. I'm going to chop it up about the questions, probably address any comments we get. And then if there's any way with these ridiculous ass questions that were asked, I could actually find a salient piece of financial information in or around these dumbass questions, I'll make sure that's what I do. So let me go ahead and pull them up so we can take a look. Okay, this first question is really quite interesting, and I'll tell you, as someone who's been an attorney in the criminal justice arena for over a decade on the defense, prosecution, investigation side. I did it. Anything related to criminal investigations, even some civil investigations. I kind of been all around that. I know that area. That's kind of my area of expertise. So it's funny that I always see anytime someone commits a crime, you'd be like, I'm not gonna say anytime, but you would be amazed how many people actually use Google before they elect to or decide to engage in criminal behavior. Because a lot of the stuff people has no clue how to do. Like, I mean, you'll see people, you'll find internet search history like, how do I defraud the government? How do I scam a PPP loan? I mean, people have searched crazy ass stuff. So this first question, I'm pretty sure is a spinoff of a lot of people searching to find out if this is illegal or not, and they want to know how much time they could potentially get. Question number one of the stupidest financial questions that are searched on Google. Is it illegal to spend fake money? Is it a felony? Like, I don't know. I thought that would be common sense, but apparently it isn't. So we are actually going to go talk about it. I'm going to talk a little bit about just some basic stuff. But of course, according to 18 USC 471, anything related to counterfeit money, using it to exchange it for goods, services, flip bills, anything like that, is a felony, and you could get up to 20 years in prison. Now, let's kind of talk about this because, you know, back in the day before counterfeiting got like really high speed and super advanced, you would actually hear a lot of stories of people who counterfeited money, counterfeited checks. They did all of these fraudulent things and they were so good at it, the government ended up offering them a job. Like, I'm just telling y'all, as a salient point, if you make counterfeit money, I don't care how good it is, this is not the 80s, you probably will not end up getting a job with the government educating people on the nuances of counterfeit money. You're probably going to be those people who end up in prison, in federal prison for 20 years. Yeah, I want to pull something up real quick. Man, I thought I could pull it up. Now it's not even showing. Hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning in, Aaron. I appreciate you. So that was question number one. Let's go ahead and get out of here because that's not going to work. Let's close that out. All right, so let's move on to question number two. All right, this is an actual interesting question because I can see I can see how this question came up out of a family court divorce situation. I don't even think this is a dumb question. I don't even know how this question actually made it on the list of dumbest financial questions searched on Google. I actually think it's a legitimate question. Can I buy life insurance on my ex-husband? Can I buy life insurance on my ex-husband? I think you can buy life insurance on anybody you want. Now, can you actually get them to sign it is another thing. Now, I'm no expert on insurance, but this is actually an interesting question because I know with insurance, with life insurance policies, a lot of people think like, even if I got insurance policy on a child, like, no, anybody age 15 or older has to sign on the life insurance policy if it's a policy for them. So that's really one of those unique nuances. So the question of is, can you get a life insurance policy on your ex-husband? Of course you can. Now, I think the bigger question here is, are you and your ex-husband cool enough to a point where he actually going to sign it so you can get any benefits? Now, I will say from a financial standpoint, I think there are some financial reasons to justify why you should have a life insurance on your insurance policy on your ex. Just from playing defense, you know, protecting your income. If you all have kids together and you get a divorce, yeah, it's a good idea that you should probably have a life insurance policy on your ex. I mean, I think anybody who's responsible will go ahead and sign that. Makes sense. Now it gets a little gray where, and it depends on the relationship of the parties, but, you know, if you was married, you got an ex and y'all no kids, I don't know. Like, if we don't have no kids, I don't know why I necessarily need to sign a life insurance policy so you could, once I fall down the stairs and break my neck, you can have a good time with somebody else. I hunt the hell out of you. Nah, that's not going to happen. So there are some valid reasons to have a life insurance policy on your ad. It just kind of makes sense when you acquired a lot, when you got family, children, grandchildren, all of those type of things. But if you're in one of those unique situations where like you were married, no kids, yeah, and I've seen this happen where people are married, no kids, they'll have life insurance policies on each other, then they get a divorce. And they don't have kids together. They may have kids from separate relationships. Now they're like, man, I got this life insurance policy and this person already signed it. So it gets a little interesting, but there are some valid reasons why you would actually need a life insurance policy on your ex that doesn't include you trying to push them down the stairs or anything crazy like that. Yeah, exactly. See, that's my point exactly. It's definitely allowed. You can get a policy on anybody. I can get a life insurance policy on my neighbor if I could talk my neighbor into signing it. But yeah, so I definitely think that it makes sense. Now let's go ahead and take a look at let's see what's number 3 on this list of stupid financial questions that is searched on Google. Now this is a question where it gives me cause to pause about the about where our civilization is going as a whole. I don't even know why this is a question. I don't know why it has such high volume. I can see if one random person searched for this. The search volume was relatively high, number 3 on the list. This is the dumbest question. I don't even, you know what? Let me just read it before I even explain it. Do $100 bills smell like maple? Really? Why the hell would somebody even search that? Like that lets me know that our society is on a downward trend from an intellectual standpoint. But if I'm gonna answer the question or find the real point is, I guess the answer would be yes if you spilled maple syrup on it. But that's a dumbass question. I have no clue how or why that's even on the list. But apparently it's actually on the list. Now let's take a look at question number 4. And there's a few questions in here that are good, and there's other questions in here that makes you cringe and feel sorry for humanity because you don't know why people are searching these things. All right, question number 4. How to steal money from vending machines? Again, this is another question like I don't know who the hell searched this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that one, but I don't know if y'all ever did this. Like when you was a kid, when I was a kid, you would go to arcade and you playing video games, and you would go up to the little quarter slot and just keep pressing it. You press it mad times, and quarters would come out. I'm not telling how to steal. I'm just telling you what other kids did back in the day. Statute of limitations passed on that, but that's what you would do as a kid. You would go up to the arcade machine, press the coin return button 10 times just to get back like a quarter so you could play a game. But these people are not idiots, but some of these questions are idiotic. We're going to move on to question number 5. Question number 5 is an interesting question because it really relates and goes to, I think, I don't know, I'd probably say depression, maybe mental health concerns, how people view themselves. Now, the question number 5, fifth most searched question that's crazy related to finance is, why am I poor and dumb? Like, okay, so I can just kind of wrap my mind around a person who is a question or a topic like that. They probably frustrated. They probably in a check. If they aren't living paycheck to paycheck, they be unemployed, underemployed, stuff probably real hard. So I can understand and the mind frame of someone who was. I guess if I would have to answer this question, I don't think that a person could be poor because they're dumb. I think you can be unintelligent and be wealthy as hell. I mean, you can have a low IQ but be relatively savvy enough to come up with an idea to make you a very lucrative income. But I think that question for me just kind of goes to a sad state of affairs that, a lot of people are in. A lot of people are in tough situations. They question, their socioeconomic status. They question things that are going on in their life. So, only thing I got to say about that is, hey, a positive word to somebody can help them, because you never know what people are dealing with. And, that's the whole point of this channel. Hopefully it can help people learn how to deal with finances. Like, yeah, I wanted to do a fitness channel, but everybody don't give a damn about their health and their fitness, but everybody have to understand and learn how to work productively with finances. So, that was a little tough. Let's move on to number 6. This one is actually in how to buy an island. And I actually did research, because there are islands out there that are, one, actually affordable, that cost way less than my house. That's point number 1. And point number 2, there is a website out there where you can search for islands to buy, islands to rent. It's really crazy. And so I actually took a look to see what type of islands were out there that would be something that is within an average person's price range. And I found a few. I found a story of a guy who purchased an island for $65 and built a home on there. The island, I think, is something like 6.5 square miles or something to that effect. But purchasing an island is actually something that you can do. I actually pulled up a site here. I'm going to read a few of the islands off. 9 affordable islands for sale. Gills Island, Prince Edward's Island in Canada, is on sale for $79,999. Hey, that's a pretty good deal. So, hey, if you want to actually purchase an island, that's something that's not really outside of the realm of possibility. I will tell you, one of my big concerns would be, could you imagine having a 6 square mile island in this day and age of global warming? I'd be scared shitless to wake up one morning and the tide rose to the point where my damn feet getting wet in the bedroom. So like, I think that would be crazy. Oh, this is interesting. Wow. Oh, that's dope. Wow. I've never thought I would have known someone who knew someone who purchased an island. That's cool. Man, that's going to be interesting. Now I got all these questions about the type of competition, because I don't know, you probably can't tell this about me, but I think that I'm one of those people who can like survive on a show like Naked and Afraid or something like that, where they just go off in a remote area butt naked for however many weeks, and you got to survive on your own skill set and into it. I feel like I thrive in that environment. I say that after one day, I'd be like, oh, Lord, I need air conditioning. But, that's interesting. But it is people out there who are purchasing islands. They actually got a website. It's like purchase an island or rentaisland.com or something. And you can decide if you want to purchase an island. You can actually rent one. There was also another story I saw where a group of friends like pulled together $250,000 and they purchased an island, and it's just like their own private resort. They having all these places built on there, and it kind of get interesting. So again, some of these questions are dumb as hell, but I don't necessarily think that's a dumbass question. I was actually shocked to see how cheap islands were. With what I paid in my house, I could have had a couple of islands, but that's a whole nother story. All right, we're going to skip around. I think this is a good one right here. Again, I don't think this is a dumb question. We're going to skip number 7 because that's just asking. We're going to jump straight to number 8. Question number 8 says, how to invest with no money. Now, all right, I think that's a real legitimate financial question that requires some discussion, but I think the answer to the question is simple. To invest with no money? Well, the answer to the question, I don't know. I'm probably going to give the attorney answer. The attorney answer is it depends on what you are investing in. You can invest in yourself with no money. You can invest in yourself with your health. You can invest in yourself with your physical fitness. There's a lot of ways you can invest in yourself with no money. Now, if you're talking about investing in assets with no money, that is going to be a little problematic. I'm going to say that it's generally hard to do. I don't think it's, no, I'm not going to say it's hard to do. I'm going to say it's probably impossible. It's very hard to get an asset with no money unless you have some type of windfall from just finding something, or a family member leaves you something in a will, or in an estate, or in a trust, or something to that effect. I think the bigger point to this question is not investing with no money, but how to make margins so you can have some money to invest. And it's really simple. I'm just going to give the quick Reader's Digest version. One, make a budget, know what's going in, know what's coming out. Two, find places you can that budget and reduce your spending. Three, if you're not making enough money to pay everything that that is required in your budget, you got to find a way to make some more money, get another job, do something. Four, once you looked at 1 through 3 and you can find a way to have some margin, a little bit of money left over once everything is done, then you're at a point where you can actually start investing. So can you invest with no money? Yeah, you can invest in yourself. Right now, it's some monk somewhere in a linen robe who has no money, but everybody in the village live nice and peaceful, and he has everything he needs in that village. So yeah, you can invest in yourself. You can invest in your physical fitness, your mental health, your spiritual health. But investing in what we would call Western assets to make money, nah, you need some capital. You got to find some money to get on your feet. That's just what it is. All right, let's take a look, see what else we got on the list. We're going to start skipping around a little bit because, like I said, some of these questions are wild as hell. That's an interesting question. And that's an interesting question. Now, I don't know the age on these questions or when these questions came into fruition, but question number 9 on this list is, again, and it has a high search volume, how to be selling weed. I'm going to assume these questions are a lot older, okay? Because one thing you can't do is come to get advice on how to do something illegal. But, hey, I do have an opinion on how to make money selling weed and doing it legally, because marijuana is legal in a lot of states. And the other thing is, who's selling weed now and not doing it legally? Like, is that even like lucrative? Like, I don't know. If I were in the market to buy some weed, why would I go to some guy on a corner when I can actually go to like a real dispensary and have a certain grade of marijuana that, you know, maybe my cataracts or reduce my headache or help my PTSD or something like that? If a person is actually trying to sell weed and not doing it a legitimate way in an actual business, they may not be the smartest person just to go ahead and put that out there, because I just don't see a marketplace for somebody standing on the corner selling weed when you can get it legally and, you know, have all these variations and strains that can actually benefit you health wise, medically wise, and all that stuff. So that's just a crazy ass question. Don't do anything illegal. You didn't get any illegal information here. If you're going to sell weed, go move to Denver, Colorado, or somewhere where it's legal. Get you a dispensary. You're going to need some money, just like the last question we talked about, but that's the best way you could do it. All right, this question, I have no clue if this is even, apparently this is a question that's searched. I have no clue if majority of men or women actually searched this question. It talks about, the question is, can a dollar pregnancy test be wrong? One, I didn't even know they had dollar pregnancy tests. Is that a thing, ladies? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a pregnancy test person. I don't know going rate form is, but if it's $1, I'm probably not going to trust the veracity or the legitimacy of those test results. I'm assuming that a legitimate pregnancy test will cost a little bit more than $1, but that's wild. But those were some of the craziest questions that had a high search volume related to finance on Google. Some other things that actually came up were interesting, and we're going to just go through a few of them. And it's bad financial advice. They actually had about 17. We're not going to go through all 17. I'm going to go across some that are just really bad advice. and other ones that I think are just really funny. And so, number two on the list, no, number three on the list is investing in your 401k is dumb. Now, this is funny because a lot of finance gurus, self-proclaimed finance gurus out there actually say that investing in your 401k is dumb, is not a smart way to invest your money. You can make better money on bigger deals, flipping real estate and all of that other stuff. For me, I'll tell you all, my point of view is that, well, let's kind of talk about it historically. The 401k is not your friend. I actually did a video on that. 401k aren't your friends. Back in the day, and the 401k is just the IRS tax code section 401k. But back in the day, before 401ks were in existence, people got jobs and they worked at companies, worked there for 30 years, 40 years, and they would actually earn a pension with that job. And that job was required to pay them a certain amount of money every month for the rest of their life, from the time they retired to the time that they passed away. Well, what happened is, think about it, healthcare got better. People start making more and longer because healthcare is better. The mortality rate is high. Like people live to 80, 85. I know people in their 90s. And so employers was like, man, this is costing us an arm and a leg to have to pay these pensions out. Plus people living too damn long. So all those employers paid a bunch of lobbyists. Lobbyists went up on Capitol Hill and lobbied, and they developed what's a 401k. So the 401k essentially took the obligation to prepare you for your retirement from your employer, and it put it on you. If you want money for your retirement, you need to contribute to this 401k. Now, some employers do offer a match, some up to 5 or 6%, but it essentially switched the obligation of who is responsible for your retirement. It used to be your employer. Now you're responsible. So is a 401k made to benefit you? The answer is no. Is a 401k dumb? No, it's not necessarily dumb, because during the pandemic, the number of 401k millionaires grew exponentially. So 401ks and a person's primary residence are the two most important things when it comes to determining first generation millionaires. They normally own a house and they normally contribute consistently to their 401k. So that's the point on the 401k. Is definitely not dumb. Whoever gave them that advice was they were dumb for giving them that advice. All right, let's see another interesting one. Oh, here's another interesting bad finance advice or money advice that people receive. Take out student loans. You can pay it back when you have a degree. How could I put this? I actually thought of doing a video called "Is higher education a scam?" Because the answer is, like, I guess kind of half and half, kind of yes and kind of no. I think now in this day and age, you don't. One, we know that people graduate with all kinds of degrees and do not work in their field. I know people who have engineering degrees. I know people who have marketing degrees. Excuse me, and they drive for Uber or Lyft. So just because you get a degree, don't necessarily mean you're going to be in a position to pay back your student loan. It took me a long ass time to be in a position to pay back my student loan. I don't know, but I told this story before. In my first 3-4 years out of law school, I was making like $40,000 a year, which is probably underemployed for the family size that I had. But I mean, there's a lot of people who don't make $40,000 a year. But a lot of times you assume, like, damn, you're a lawyer, you made $40,000 a year. That's crazy. So it took a while for me to get to a point where I actually made enough income to actually pay back my student loan. For 4 or 5 years, I didn't make enough money to actually pay back my student loans. I was lucky because the place where I work, because it was a state job, they actually had a program where they'll pay your student loan payment every month for you. So that was my one benefit. But school can be a scam, especially when you talk about like certain schools and higher education. I guess the rule is you want to graduate and go to school and try to cash flow it, Or in the alternative, you have to have loans. You should not have more loans than what you could realistically expect to make in your field your first year. So if you think your first year in your field you can make $40,000, you shouldn't have more than $40,000 to get you to your actual degree completion and meeting those requirements. But typically, I would stay away from it. A lot of schools like to just sell a dream, especially law schools. Like law schools, I know I went to law school. Everybody always say you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. A lot of lawyers are struggling to make ends meet, just like everybody else. People impute income on you, even though you broke as hell. I know people in my family thought I was rich and had it, and I ain't have anything. So, that's kind of what it is for school. It really depends on what you're going to school for, where you're going to school, public institution versus private institution. Is it a professional degree or advanced degree required for you to make money in this field? Or are you doing it because this is really what you want to do? Or you just doing it as a placeholder because you're an adult and you're scared to go out into the real world and have to pay bills? Like, so, there's all sorts of crazy reasons that people go to school. But I think that's the take. Just because you got a degree doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to pay ish back. I mean, unfortunately, it's sad that happens, but that is the case. So be very cautious when it comes to higher education. Higher education is not indicative of a high income. All right, let's see. Another one that was interesting on here. No, we aren't going to go that one. Okay, here's another one that's interesting because there's actually been a recent change to credit reporting. Is don't pay medical bills because they won't affect your credit. Like, that's crazy. Like, no, medical bills can and will impact your credit. They will get put on your credit report. The credit rules are changing. I'll probably link the video in the description at some time to where if it's a medical debt less than $500, it won't be reported on your credit. Now they're giving you 12 months to negotiate credit before a medical debt is actually placed on your credit report. So there are some rules, but hey, that is badass advice. You definitely don't want to just not pay your bills, especially any bills. Medical bills is probably the easiest ones not to pay though. Medical bills tend to be less likely to lead to some type of litigation. It's very rare that I've seen people with medical bills end up in court. But if you got a bill out there, you can pay it. If you delinquent on a bill, you have an opportunity to reach out to them and negotiate it. A lot of times you can negotiate medical bills for pennies on a dollar. So always try to go that route. It can go in your credit report, even though the rules are changing. So that's just one thing to take it. Let me see. Oh man, this is an interesting one. And I don't know. I don't know if it's bad financial advice, but I think this is kind of how most people live. It says, have a kid first, figure out finances later. Like, I don't know who out there actually, I don't know. I don't know anybody. Oh, let me jump to this comment. Yeah. I think that minimum income threshold is something that's realistic and it won't put you in too much debt. I'm not a proponent. I'm not completely against acquiring debt to get a higher education. Sometimes that's just what it is. I know when I was going to undergrad, I was in that. Like, my mother made just enough money to where she didn't have no money, but she made too much money to actually be considered poor. So we were in that strange middle. So a lot of opportunities we were outside of the income range for, but we weren't balling. We weren't an upper middle class, a real middle class type of family. So I do think that, in some instances it is beneficial to get loans, to get a degree. Just don't go down that rabbit hole of, I'm gonna get this degree through any means necessary. Like I told my son, my son is going to graduate. He's going into his junior year. So I got a couple of years. I'll probably have about 30 saved up for my son to go to college. Now, 30K, that'll burn off at most colleges with a sneeze and a fart. But I probably have about 30K for my son to go to college. Now, during those college years, I'm going to I'm going to continue to contribute to it. I'm going to continue to contribute to his college fund, but I had a real conversation like, it's our job to help you graduate with little to no debt. So it will behoove you to go to a college that you can afford. If you want to go to a college and you got your heart set on someplace, what we have to help you and what we're going to give you to help you through college is what we're going to give you. Anything outside of that, you got to figure it out, guy. It's like that's just kind of what it is. One of the worst pieces of advice was to take my maximum out of student loan because the interest rate would be lower than a car loan. Hey, that's an actual real thing. Which is I don't know how true that may have been true back in the day. Probably not so much now. But that's crazy because I actually heard that. That was smart. I'm glad you didn't follow that advice. You saw the stupidity coming from that advice as they were to you. So you actually are smart. But one of the things is, that's kind of just how it was. Like, oh, you have living expenses. Well, you could get a student loan just to cover your living expenses. So I started getting student loans to cover living expenses when I could have actually thought of better ways to cover those living expenses. So between the student loan, if I was really smart, like back in the day, if I was really smart, all of those stupid credit cards I signed up for in the Common Center, if I was really smart, what I would have did when I was coming up in the late 90s, early 2000s, all those dumbass credit cards I signed up for in the student center, I should have used those to pay off my student loans. Or pay for my college. Every time I should have literally got this credit card that they gave me a free water bottle for and walk right to the cashier's office and use that credit card to pay for that semester of my higher education. Because then if okay, I was 18. If I wouldn't have paid my credit card bill, okay, what you gonna do? Get blood from a turnip? But at least my school would have been paid for. But hindsight is 2020. I'm not telling nobody to do that. I'm making a comment or a statement. But I think with the school thing is it's just one of those areas where is higher education is good, but it's a little bit of gamesmanship on the part of schools. Because think about it, if I had Marcus University and I know that students can get an unlimited loan from the government, I'm gonna raise my bill high as hell. Every semester, my bill is gonna go up higher and higher and higher. Hey, thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. Yeah, graduate school for living expenses. Yeah, I did that for graduate school because the most of my student loans were accrued during my first year because I had to pay out of state tuition. My second and third year law school, I actually had enough scholarships. I got like a full academic scholarship to take care of it. But I was like, man, I got a wife, I got a kid. I'm already halfway through, so I'm not gonna stop, even though the personality of most people at my law school was really annoying to me. But a vast majority of it was just to cover living expenses because I just had living expenses that needed to be taken care of, which in hindsight was dumb, but it is what it is. But I think that's a good rule of thumb. Like if you are going to take out student loans, do some real research and find out what is the average first year salary for somebody with your degree. If the first year salary for somebody with a criminal justice degree is $30,000, you need to figure out a way where you can complete your entire undergraduate degree and get your criminal justice degree for $30,000 or less. That's the only safe way I think that is to take out a loan if you're not going to, try to really kill yourself or overextend yourself. Yeah, student loans suck. It's the worst. Did y'all see speaking of student loans while we on there, did y'all see that the Republicans released their student loan forgiveness plan? it made me laugh. God bless them. So it's funny because let's just think about this. Let's segue off to student loans real quick, okay? Student loans and politics is a very interesting subject because it's like Okay, you got Republicans and their student loan. I'll tell you in short. I read the entire thing today. The Republican student loan adjustment bill is essentially a bill designed to say, "Hey, we're going to find a way to make it easier to pay your loans off, but you're going to pay this shit off." That's the Republican plan in short. If you read it, that's essentially what it says. It says something. It has something in there to the effect of. Um, the maximum you can pay is the original amount borrowed plus interest that would accrue for like a 10-year period. What the fuck kind of help is that? Pardon my language. That's crazy. But so that's kind of the Republicans got this plan out there. That's just their plan is, hey, we're going to find ways for you to get back in good standing to pay this stuff off. Now, the Democrats, on the other hand, you put 3 Democrats in the room and they won't agree on anything. You got some who just like cancel it all. And then you got the old school dinosaur guys who like, I don't want to cancel anything. And I don't know. I'm not the smartest person in the world. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm not the smartest person in the world. But whoever does something first on cancellation is going to be the winner in this whole thing, right? Because let's just think about it. Some Democrats are saying cancel all of it or $50,000. We know that shit not going to happen. Joe Biden, 10,000 years old. He doesn't want anything to change fundamentally. He said that. We all knew that going in. God, that dude's the lamest president. But we already knew that, right? He said we'll do $10,000 and he still hasn't done that yet because he's not going to do it. He doesn't want to do it. But the Republicans came out with the thing. Just think about it. If the Republicans actually came out with a bill, this is the first side to do anything, no matter how small, will get looked at as a hero and actually will carry a lot of votes in any midterm elections. If the Republicans say, hey, we come out with a bill where we're going to do $15,000 forgiveness for everyone. Just think, if they put all that other BS in the bill and say $15,000 of forgiveness for everybody, when they present that bill, the Democrats would have to pass it, because if they don't pass it, they're going to look crazy. They're going to be like, oh, y'all don't want to forgive anything? they would actually look like the heroes, even though they did the bare minimum, right? It'll actually, the first party to do anything, to forgive any amount, I don't care if it's 5,000, 10,000, the first party to actually do anything is actually going to win in this entire thing. So that's why I said, I was like, I think it would have been genius if I were like, let's say I was our previous president. If I was President Trump, a week before election, I would have said, I'm going to cancel and forgive all student loans. And if that couldn't be done, you know who problem it would be? It would be the next guy's problems. But he would have won easy as hell, in spite of all the crazy stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see how everything goes on. Yeah. Well, the problem with full cancellation of student loans is the student loan problem isn't just a borrowing problem, it's a systematic problem. Yeah. Okay, I get it later. Thank you. My daughter, she always checking on me to make sure I got something to eat. So, but it is a systematic problem. So let's say in theory, this is just my thought. In theory, if they say, hey, we're going to cancel all student loans tomorrow and everybody with a federal student loan is canceled. Well, you still have a bunch of students coming through an educational system that's financially broken who are still going to be in a predicament where the only way they can afford school is to get student loans. So eventually we'll end up probably in this same position another 30, 40, 50 years down the road. So in order for any cancellation to work, it has to be on 2 or 3 parts. It has to be actual student loan cancellation. It has to be legislation surrounding the actual cost of higher education. And then it has to be some legislative changes to the federal student loan system in and of itself, so it has to be you kind of have to address all 3 of those points to fix the system to the point where it'll work correctly moving forward. If you only do one of those things, we're going to reduce the cost of school, you probably still have the other 2 issues. So that's kind of my take on it, but it's pretty terrible. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's any mechanism for. I don't think when it comes to student loan, I don't think there's any mechanism to differentiate what funds are actually used for higher education. I think that's part of the problem. That's when I talk about that three-prong approach where you got the people got the exorbitant amount of student loans, the cost of higher education, and the student loan system being redone. That student loan system has to be redone because as long as schools know that a person can get a check amount to cover the cost of school plus whatever else they may think they need, the school is going to continue to increase its tuition. I mean, tuition increase something crazy like 25 or 30%, probably higher than that, where income increases at like 3%. So it's really crazy. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, like, oh, no, you can't refurbish and change the student loan system. But yeah, you actually need to change the student loan system because right now it's just a blank check for whatever the high ass overpriced amount that the school is going to charge. And that's just going to be a recipe for disaster, no matter if they forgive it or not. Yeah, I agree. It's just a band-aid. I think another thing is, and I think the climate is kind of changing because I know a lot of folks like us, talk about it, and I just think overall the climate on education is kind of changing. It's not like when I was coming up where like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. I tell you now, I don't tell my kids that. I'd be like, you gotta be a productive adult in person. Like, do whatever the hell you want to do. If you want to be a barber and go to barber school, as long as you can take care of yourself and pay your bills and you're living as a good person, doing your best to do the right thing, that's just kind of what it is, and that's what it's about. So I think things are kind of changing as it relates to student loans. Oh yeah, I agree. I'll tell you, school is a hustle. There's so many fees, and if you don't got insurance, you're required to get the insurance. Like, I don't want to pay the computer lab fee because I'm not using your damn lab. Why I got to pay $1,000 a semester in a computer lab fee? I got my own printer and my own computer. Get out of here! Like, it's just they find any way to nickel and dime you. School is getting like Spirit Airlines. Like, they charge you to pay for any luggage, and schools charge you for absolutely everything. It's getting really ridiculous. Oh wow! It's interesting too because I don't know what happened, but it was a. I remember when I was doing criminal defense work in North Carolina years ago. It was a cool. She was a probation officer. She was real cool, and she actually got into Charlotte School of Law. And I remember I wrote her a recommendation to get in. And I remember at that time they were like losing their accreditation, maybe a year or two after she got in. And I just thought, like, man, like schools are aware that higher education is pushed. That's a part of the American dream, but schools are aware that stigma is pushed so much that they just try to capitalize on it. And especially in higher education, I think law school more so than medical school. But like me, if my mother has been telling me that, oh man, you're gonna be a lawyer since I was two, at some point in time, my ass gonna grow up thinking like, maybe I should be a lawyer, maybe I should go to law school. I'm actually lucky and I'm blessed that everything worked out, and I don't like job, and I actually had allowed me to, you know, is bad all the way around. It's this stigma, is this vision of higher education is pushed, and a lot of people don't need higher education to be successful. There's a lot of avenues to success, so it gets a little crazy. Yeah, hey, I'll tell you, I know I've been when I lived overseas in Germany, Amsterdam, and all of those types of places, they had a much better system for higher education. It was more onus and responsibility on the state to provide for people going to school. And it was really based on how they performed in high school. If you perform great in high school, we're going to give you great support and help you with your funding. If you were so in high school, we're going to give you some help, but you need to get those grades up if you want more help. Like, it was kind of common sense, and it kind of, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, yeah. For all the schools except private unis, right, right. I think too, a lot of institutions don't have the donors that these private institutions have. Like, I just started. I've been out of law school for 12 years now. I'm old. I've been out of law school for 12 years now. And a couple of years ago, I just started donating to my law school. Like a couple of years ago, I was like, let me donate to my law school. So I donate to them every year. But, it take you a while to get money, be in a position we can actually have something to give back. Not like the Harvards and the Stanfords. They got, the Harvard, Stanfords, Kentucky musicians and CEOs and basketball players who can, get a whole wing named after them because they donated to build it, but a lot of public schools don't have that. So they got to death to try to get money up. When I made, that's a good question. When I made low wages after law school, did I regret it? I'm actually probably gonna say no because, and the reason I didn't regret it, because trust me, I made way money. I made way more money before I went to law school than I did my first 3 years after passing the bar exam. But I'll tell you, I actually loved my job. I love being in court every day. I love the litigation. I love the client interaction. I love always doing an argument, the negotiations. I loved it so much for probably the first 2 years. I was actually just content with soaking up the information, soaking up the knowledge. When it really hit me, when I was like, this is some bullshit, when it really hit me was after my going in the third year as a public defender, after my third year out of law as a public defender, that was when it actually hit me that I was like, oh, this shit is for the birds because my daughter was born. So, I was like, damn, I got another mouth to feed. Oh man, this public defender stuff is for the birds. I need to get the hell out of here. So I kind of got frustrated, but I was content because I kind of knew, I kind of gave myself a 3 to 4 year window put my bones in and get my experience up for at least 3 or 4 years before I can actually judge if this degree is going to pay off. So I think that's what kind of made it work for me. That's what kind of kept me content those first few years when I was making like $38,000, mad as hell. Mad as hell was because I was like, I got to put my bones in. Once I get some trial experience, it'll be a little bit easier. And then, what ultimately happened, that third year, new baby was born. I was like, damn, this trial experience, I need to get some bread. This shit is getting crazy. It's getting crazy. And so that was when I kind of started doing some search. I was even looking at taking jobs outside of the legal field that just paid more because I was like, you know what? And it got to a point where, like, I'm going to tell you, like, some of those clients, I was about to slap a spark out of them, and that would have been real bad to have an attorney who had to choke out one of their clients on like disorder in the courtroom or something. So that's kind of, where I was at that point. 22. You only as old as you feel. You know what makes me feel young? I'm about to tell you what makes me feel young. Like most times, and every time I'm in a room with attorneys, I'm always in the younger side of the attorneys. I'm no longer the younger guy anymore. I'm maybe like the third or fourth youngest, and I'm content with that because I know I'm a hop, skip, and a step away from being the dinosaur in the room. And that's a point in time. That's funny. That's like my boss, he at my job, we went to like full-time telework. And like for him, it was really an emotional thing. I was like, man, don't cry. I was like, don't cry because he's never not had an office to go to in DC in like 40 years. 40 years of practicing law. He always had an office in DC. And now they like full-time telework. We giving up our office space. And he's like, oh man, like he kind of out of place. And we do got some satellite offices. And that he's probably going to be burning them satellite offices up just to go somewhere and have somewhere to sit. But I tell you who won't be there, this person. 11 years and you haven't donated yet? Come on, counselor. You got to give him something. You got to give them something. This is my thing with donating to schools and higher academic institutions. Okay, like I'll donate to you if I genuinely feel like you care about the best interest of your students. This is a case in point. This is why I donate to my law school, and I'm gonna do it every year until I'm not here, and I probably leave them something in a trust or will on the back end. But one, I mean, I got a full scholarship just based on my academic performance, and I didn't even apply. Like it was just a humble. Like I even thought it was a mistake. When my wife told me, I was like, I don't think that's right. I actually called down to the school. Dean was just like, "Oh yeah, where you at? You working in DC? You clerking for a federal judge? Okay. Well, yeah, you're a little rough around the edges, but you did good, and we had a couple extra dollars, so we decided to hook something up." And I was like, "Okay, that was a weird, but that's just kind of how it went." Like I was like, "Man, I need an internship. I want to do a clerkship." They just was like, "Hey, if you can get these grades." I just talked to some random person. They'd be like, "Oh, we could hook you up." It was a dean. He was from DC. Just don't go up there listening to no go-go music. Don't embarrass us. I'm like, "Man, I got you." But they genuinely take the time to look out for the students who went from there. I'll tell you, maybe a couple of years ago, I used to work in the veterans law clinic. So as a veteran, and I know, a counselor who's on, I used to work in the veterans law clinic, arguing cases before the Board of Veterans Appeal, and they had an opening at the Veterans Law Clinic to run that clinic. And they actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we got this opening at this law clinic. Are you interested, or do you know somebody who's interested?" And I was like, "Damn, they didn't have to do that." The fact that they actually reached out, to just see like, "Oh man, are you interested in doing it, or do you know somebody who's interested in doing it?" I was like, "Yeah, that's dope." So because they actually look out, I feel like they look out for, their students, probably above and beyond what most schools do. I feel comfortable. Now, undergrad, I donate to them one of these days. I'm about to choke. I might give them like one lump sum donation or something at some time. Yeah, like going over my mother's house. Yep, hanging out with old people, you feel young. I went to the basketball court about a week ago, and I was playing ball with like some young kids, like young. It was a couple weeks ago before I had the 19, and they was probably like 8, 19, and they were garbage. And like the first 5 minutes, oh man, I was killing them. I saw flashes of my great hooping days. After that first like 10 minutes, man, I was so tired. It was like I was a step too slow. It was just terrible. So I was like, "Yep, new rule. I only play basketball with people 40 or older." Yeah. NCCU, and how those smaller schools and like HBCUs get in, because I know one that I don't know if y'all know, familiar with the multi-billionaire, the Koch brothers. They some Republican guys, and they got all of this propaganda. And I know at one point they made a big ass donation to our law school, and we ended up sending all that damn money back because the Koch brothers, Koch, the Koch brothers, that's who it was. The Koch brothers sent a big ass donation, and the law school ended up sending all that money back because the ideologies that the Koch brothers had were inconsistent with the school's beliefs and views were. It was interesting, but it's hard for them to raise money, especially historically black colleges, but public schools in general. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I have yet to donate to my undergrad. Like my undergrad, I'm like a few dope professors. I had maybe two or three real dope professors, but for undergrad, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I get y'all something one of these days. Maybe 2025, I'll drop y'all a lump sum. Oh man, like I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I guess some people do have concerns going to talk about certain stuff. I don't know. I mean, honestly, if I thought the law school sucked ass, I would say that they actually sucked ass. I don't give a damn. I mean, like what? Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Like, I guess like maybe if she worked at the law school or something, or some type of plug. So I can understand. I guess that's a genuine concern that some people should have. Um, about doing anything over there. You know, for all I know, Lord forbid, President Biden could watch one of my videos and see where I said y'all need to stop letting this guy fall. I'm tired of seeing him fall and feel some type of way. Like, hopefully, hey Joe, if you do watch this, it's all good, man. They just gotta keep you upright, brother. But like, you know, valid concern. Somebody asked me for my ID today. Like, I remember was saying, "Hey, okay, forever young." Like, yeah, that's good though. But like, I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I don't know. I feel like women, y'all generally age a lot better than guys. So, like, I work out. This sounds crazy, but it's very few things that's more important than your financial health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. But me working out is not for my physical health. Me working out is because, damn it, my wife got jeans and they some good ass jeans, and I don't want to look old and decrepit when I'm with her when I'm like 67 to 70 years old. Like, no, I seen how older women in her family look, and they look like they in their damn 40s or 50s. And no, and I know how guys in my family look. We generally look old as hell. Like, I love my pops, but I remember when my daughter was young, we went to the wax museum, and she probably was like two. She was like two, and she saw a picture, a wax figure of Frederick Douglass, and she looked at it and was like, "Grandpa." I died laughing because I was like, damn, Grandpa do look like Frederick Douglass before that gray hair and that beard. So, hey, that's cool. You still got caught it. Hey, forever young. That's always a positive thing. But yeah, y'all women, y'all put too much pressure on us to not look like. I don't want to be like all beer belly and I go somewhere and they like, how the hell did this guy get her? Like, no. So I work out of vanity and I don't want to just embarrass myself. Yeah, why would you retire if you were a professor? Like, if I was a professor, they would have to take me out of the school on a gurney before I actually like. I'm like, if you're a professor, it's no way to like. I honestly don't understand. Like, I mean, I understand why professors don't retire, but just think about this. Can you actually imagine teaching a subject for like 20 years, reading the same bad essays about criminal law or negligence or philosophy? Oh my God, I would drink so much wine if I was doing that. But yeah, I can see why if you're a professor and you're tenured, you published a couple of books, we call it you published a couple of books, so you tenured and everything. Yeah, you got a job where you making six figures, you off every summer. It's easy work. You probably mastered the knowledge of the career, you've been doing it your entire career. So like, yeah, that's one of those jobs where like, nah, you have to, yeah, like I said, if I'm a professor, they're gonna have to take me on a gurney, you know, before I'm not just gonna quit that job. That's a hard job to walk away from. Street hockey, that should sound dangerous. Street hockey, oh man, hockey in general, but yeah, you can't. Yeah, you gotta stick with people your age. Like, I don't know if you know, but down in like in North Carolina, Judy, they have like a lawyers league that I used to play in, and you play 2 or 3 games a week, and it's like lawyers and judges, and we all playing, and man, it was really fun. But you know, like I said, I was getting up there, and then you know, like I'm kind of like arrogant when it comes to like sports and stuff. So like I, I would bounce the ball off of someone's head, then shoot a shot. And like judges, they hold that shit against you. So I was like, it was probably been the best interest of me and my clients that I don't play in the lawyer league no more because I'm out there trying to embarrass people. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Good students alone would be mad. Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My employers, they knew about my channel. They know about it. They was like, they was dope with it. They was cool with it. When I told the agency head, they was like, oh, I'm gonna check it out. So I was like, cool. Cause yeah, like the main thing I think for most government employees, as long as you're not giving away trade secrets, you're not giving away trade secrets and talking about pending litigation, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's gonna end up in the clink. But yeah, for the most part, they cool, with that stuff. But I can see why a lot of people are hesitant. I remember, like, on your channel today, you were talking about it was an attorney and he changed his name of his channel from his actual name to something else. And yeah, I can see it because, hey, people can find you. I mean, this is the internet age. You can't hide from nobody. So, yeah, that's cool. Mimosas. I know. That's what I should have. I should have I see a lot of people do their little sipping lives and they have their little wine that they sipping. I would do that, but nah, I'm a lightweight now and I don't like wine. So anything I sip would make the conversation just get out of pocket. God damn, 80? Is that that's a real statistic? Yeah, I can see that. Damn. 80, I may need to look in academia. That may be that's actually what I would do. Like, this sounds crazy, but I actually told myself, like, if I actually retire from the legal profession, I would get a job teaching in academia, but I don't want to go to like a law school or something because law think they know every damn thing. I would want to teach somewhere like an undergrad or a community college, like something I could just teach. I'm gonna teach criminal justice at a community college because I don't need no syllabus and no textbooks. I could do that with my eyes closed. It'll be dope. Damn, 80. I'm about to tell you, I don't know too, but hey, if you're an old person, if you're a person in academia and you're single and you want to find a spouse, law professors, boy. I don't know what it is at Central, boy, but Central got some law professors who be marrying the hell out of their students. Like, hey, that's I guess you can't complain, but it's not uncommon for law professors to marry their students. It's crazy as hell, which has always been wild because I never knew how that whole thing started. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother crazy conversation, but let's just say it's something very not uncommon. Yeah. Yeah. Even I'm gonna tell you what's also dope. I actually did online teaching once. Online teaching was easy as hell. And it was crazy too, because like online teaching, I know when I did it at an online school, you would get something like, oh man, I did it maybe in 2011 or 12. And like for teaching like 2 courses or 3 courses, I got something like $6,000 a semester. And they paid me like half at the beginning of the semester and the other half after the grades were submitted. And it was mad easy to do. It didn't take a lot of work, just being accessible, available for the students when they had questions. So, that was kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess it depends what fields are. Like, how much prep? Okay, I can talk about it from a law school standpoint. How much prep is a tenured law professor doing for, like, like I could see, this is just me. I could see when I was in a law professor's class who was a younger professor, I could tell and see in their presentation how they took more time planning and doing everything. Those older professors who was doing it for decades, man, they could come in there. I'm not saying they weren't meticulous, but they just knew the examples. They knew that stuff like the back of their hand. So like it's like everything. When you practice law, if someone came to my office saying, hey, I want you to represent me on this, and it's something I never did before, it's going to take me more time to research it and figure out what the hell I'm doing. So I'm going to charge you more. But, after doing it for 10 years, if somebody come in my office, I know how to do it like the back of my hand. So probably not going to charge you as much time. So I think a lot of professors are kind of in that boat. I think they just kind of all got resource. They know it like the back of their head. Staying home all summer. I know that's a dope ass job. Now that I think about it, now y'all got me thinking about becoming somebody. My previous employer just I had to quit my job. Yeah, that'll be wild. So, hey, fair point. Depending on what you're talking about, it may not be conducive to your livelihood and gainful employment. So that's crazy. That's funny as hell. Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I might be in the wrong field. Damn. You don't do anything. That's like being of counsel at a law firm or something. That's funny. They didn't know about it. Oh Lord, don't ask no questions. I don't want nobody in trouble on this channel talking about jobs. Okay, so that's common. Yeah, I guess you just sitting in class all day and teaching, but how does that even start though? Like I can't even imagine. Like I don't know. Like I would love to see how those initial conversations of professors who subsequently marry their students. How do those conversations start? Because I just couldn't see myself going into my professor's office like, I'm having a real problem understanding bilateral and unilateral contracts, but damn, you looking mighty good today. You like sushi? like I don't know. I just think that's a wild ass way. But hey, to each their own. But hey, being a professor, I mean, hey, you got a huge dating pool. You off every summer. You can get a status where you just getting a stipend. You become a master of the material. I mean, I don't know. It's dope. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I've seen it the other way too, though. I've seen a professor who was a female professor who married a male student. Excuse me, less common though for sure. Less common because let's just be honest, like guys, I think when guys get older, we just a little bit more creepy. So I think in general, guys are older and a little bit more creepy and a little bit more prone to like, okay, yeah, this student is fine. That's crazy as hell. Because I'm thinking like when that happens, like the student will have to like, can that be in that person's section no more? And like you can't that's just too much bullshit. I couldn't, yeah. Nah, I'm good. If I'm a professor and I want to date a student, you better stay the student at another school, not at my school. What's the old saying? You don't use the bathroom in the same place. I think that's kind of that's smart. Yeah. And that's interesting too because I actually think like the type of work I do was a field that I never heard about in law school. I never heard now one person mention anything about the type of work I do when it relates to just investigations in general. Like it was just something I found through happenstance as I was practicing and looking, and I was like, oh man, that's interesting. And I was like, damn. So like they should literally like law school should literally have a 1 credit hour course that just talks about different careers that you can do with your degree because the degree is so versatile. I mean, you got most people want to go to a firm or start their own practice. Most people in law school think it's like 3 or 4 things you can do, but there's a gang of stuff you could do legitimately in the legal field that I know I didn't have any damn clue of what it was. So yeah. R. Kelly should have been fired for that. That is crazy as hell. But the interesting thing when it comes to the workplace computer, it is so common for people to do inappropriate stuff on their workplace computer. You would be amazed at like because think about it now when you do like back in the day if a search warrant was done uh agents would go into a building and they would come out with a bunch of box files. That doesn't happen anymore now. When is done, you come out with a bunch of computers, a bunch of laptops, and that's one thing. Like when you do the type of work I do, you take all these classes on how to detect liar, body language. You learn about computers because you got to be able to go in front of a jury and explain it. And so, with a computer, when they say that you can't delete anything, there's slack space, unallocated clusters. When you delete something off your computer, it's always there. Like one thing I always find funny is like we talked about this earlier, like people's search history, but like, man, people always like, how you can open up a search window and make it a incognito so people can't find it. That's like the easiest way for people to find it. So like people do all sorts of inappropriate stuff, and it's always on there. So I'm naturally not shocked that that happened, and R. Kelly got uh, exactly what he deserved. So I think we're gonna close it out on that. I did got one take though. Like somebody asked me about this, and I probably pull this topic off of this video and make it his own separate video. But somebody asked me my opinion today about Brittany Griner and her being in, I guess, custody over in Russia. It's interesting because Brittany Griner's wife actually graduated from my law school this year. I think she actually passed the bar exam this year too, if I'm not mistaken. And so apparently, she got 9 years. She pled guilty. They gave her a 9-year sentence. And it looks like they are working on some type of negotiation. It looks like they are working on some type of negotiation. Yeah. Yeah, that's hey, we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, them Secret Service agents got those text messages up out of there. They got those things. But yeah, so yeah, Brittany's wife went to our law school and my law school, and she graduated, and I think she passed the bar. And so I don't know. I don't know. I tend to don't think it's a thing where like, oh, it's a woman thing and she should have been out, or a black thing versus a white thing. Like me personally, I don't think it's that. I just think it's a badass timing thing. Like if we weren't going through all of the if Russia wasn't going through all the Ukraine stuff and all of these political tensions weren't so high, I don't think Brittany Griner and her whole little hashish thing would be a big deal. I don't think it would be a big deal at all. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It was a sister. Yeah, I don't think it would be a big deal at all. But I don't know. I just don't think they're gonna make a trade for it. I think the last I read, they're trying to trade like Brittany Griner for someone called the Merchant of Death, who's an arm dealer. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I'm an attorney. There's a couple of people in the chat, but everybody in this chat have common sense. Some things just equity aren't equal and fair. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily a legitimate exchange for Brittany Griner to get an arms dealer who's known as the Merchant of Death, who may be responsible for a lot of lives on the line. Is an interesting subject. I think one, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You got to know where you at. You got to be aware of the circumstances, facts and circumstances around you, especially when you're overseas. When you're overseas in Dubai, people don't know this, but if you're overseas in Dubai, you can't hug a woman in public or like kiss and show affection. You can get incarcerated and get a big ass fine because they don't want you to do that type of stuff. In Dubai, you get a fine for looking at someone else's cell phone because it's an invasion of privacy. So if you're traveling somewhere overseas, you get like a crazy ass fine if you eat a meal in any public vehicle, like a cab, or Uber, on a train. And so, one, when you're traveling overseas, they got this whole show. I don't know if y'all ever seen it. It's called Locked Up Abroad. And it's about people who got caught with large amounts of drugs, small amounts of drugs overseas, and they end up in these foreign prisons. If you going somewhere in Russia and it's Russia, you already know what the political climate is. Like, come on now, have some sense to make sure you clear out everything in your damn bag so you don't get stopped by customs, so you don't get caught up. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think, unfortunately, I think she's going to be over there for a while. It's sad. It's sad, but I think she's going to be over there for a while. I think the last information I got is that they were actually talking about trying to get Brittany Griner and a U.S. soldier out of custody in exchange for this Merchant of Death gentleman. Now, I have a little bit more empathy for soldiers because I am a soldier, and I'm not saying that Brittany Griner and this soldier life is worth more than her own. But if we're going to negotiate for somebody named the Merchant of Death, it shouldn't be a one for one swap for Brittany Griner. So we are going in the right direction, trying to get multiple people back for this Merchant of Death. Yeah, that's point number one. Point number two is I just think she's going to be over there for a while. I think the reason she got that big ass sentence is because her getting 9 years increases the leverage that Russia has to negotiate anything with her. And so a lot of people are complaining about, like, oh, if it was LeBron James and this and that, like, okay, like, no. LeBron James wouldn't have been over there with hashish in the first place. I know that with 100% certainty. But it's a crazy situation, and unfortunately, I don't think that Russia is going to get. I think Russia is going to max her out and try to use everything they can to put the negotiation leverage on their side. That's why she got that big ass sentence. On the U.S. side, I'm gonna be honest. I honestly don't think they're in a big rush to get her back. I think they're just kind of opening up these talks. So, just from an optic standpoint, people will say, oh, well, we are doing something and engaged in negotiations to try to get her back. But I don't think the United States is in a rush to release somebody who's called a merchant of death for either one of those persons. And I don't think that Russia is in a point where they're going to let anything go just with the diamond. So that's a crazy ass situation. You got to be cautious when you go overseas. Like, and it's funny because every time I go overseas, I guess I just look like somebody who smoked weed. Because every time I go overseas, there's always somebody trying to like sell me weed. I'm like, I'm a tall black guy. Y'all just assume that I want to go overseas and smoke weed? Huh? Like, nah, I came over here to see the pyramids. Like, it's when you're traveling overseas, you definitely got to be careful because, yeah, and I agree. I agree with that 100%. Our Western way of thinking is kind of elitist, and I can speak to this because I lived all over the damn world. We have a very elitist way of how we view ourselves globally, and it honestly probably shouldn't be that high. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. Hey, I love this country, but it's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, and you gotta. Hey, when you're in someone else's houses, you gotta abide by their rules. So, unfortunately, I hope it ends favorably, but I wouldn't be shocked if we go into 2023 and everything is still in the same posture. I don't think we're going to get any relief on this whole Brittany Griner situation until this whole Russia-Ukraine conflict comes to an end. Then we might be at a point where we can kind of find that. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Oh, give us. We killing people off who they're not even killed. Oh, she got a business in Clinton, Maryland. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. Wow. That's the. Hey, well, I appreciate y'all tuning in to the live, and I just like the interaction. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in. As always, appreciate the support. Y'all take care. Y'all have a blessed one. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. And I can't wait to put my son on punishment when he get back. It's gonna be beautiful. I don't know if y'all caught it, but he went to a concert. He went to a concert today, his first concert at 15. And I was actually like, okay, you can go to a concert, but do A, B, and C. And of course, what does my son do? He does half of the stuff he's supposed to do. Now, I don't look to check to see if he did everything beforehand, but once he gone, I went and he didn't do everything I was supposed to do. So I was like, this is fun. This is how I really matured as a parent. Normally, I'd have been frustrated, like, damn it, that boy didn't do what I told him to do. Now this is fun because I get to, like, imagine coming from your first concert with your friends and you get to come home and you can't even text your friends about it because your father put you on punishment for a week. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I'm sitting here trying to figure out the best way to break the news to them so that it'll be entertaining for me. So that's going to be interesting. Y'all take care. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one. Peace.